Right, got it. Got it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Emma's and Cole's wedding.
Hope you have a lovely day.
I hope you have a lovely day.
Ladies and
Sorry,
gentlemen,
budget.
the mother of the bride.
If you can't hear me, Hannah, down that end, please shout. Welcome, family and friends of Emma and Carl. Emma, you're looking gorgeous today, and Carl, very handsome. And I thought the bridesmaids and flower girls looked lovely too. I thoroughly enjoyed the church service, and well done to all of you who sung those high notes in the chosen songs. I'd like to thank a few people today, though I think Carl's thanking a lot. Basically, the team that's helped Emma and the bridesmaids, and the team that's helped Carl, because they've been working yesterday and today very hard. I've given Emma a few photos. Emma, this is your life. Emma was born at Kent and Canterbury, I remember. So it seems most appropriate to get married here today. Emma, when you were 1, we moved to our Wilson Avenue house. I met Trevor and his then teenage children, when, Martin and Katie, when you were 15 months old, and luckily for me they were very tolerant of you, and we all became friends.
Sorry.
Believe it or not, Emma did not talk much at this age.
Makes up for it now.
But used to make it abundantly clear what she wanted. Mostly it was arms raised to Trevor, which meant pick me up or carry me. Go on, you got a photo of that.
It's tiny, but
It's
yes.
tiny.
This is me on
She
his
spent a lot of time on Trevor's shoulders.
Take it over.
After work, Trevor was often summoned to dolls' tea parties in Bumblebee Cottage, which was a tiny little tent. And I had to heave Trevor out when it was supper time. In the daytime, Emma was happiest outside in the garden or at the play park, usually climbing on the highest slide or on the spider's web frame, showing no fear. She used to jump from halfway up the stairs into Trevor's arms and has always relied on Trevor to save her. In the evening, you wanted us to read you stories. These are the books. These were some of your favourites. The Very Hungry Caterpillar, where you poke your finger through the pages. Remember that one?
Oh yes, you do.
You do.
With holes.
She still likes that one. Where the Wild Things Are, given to her by the wild Auntie Hilary. Roald Dahl, The Twits, and we used to like it when they all got the shrinks. And The Queen's Knickers, written by Nicholas Allen, which always intrigued you.
Especially as one of my best friends is Nicola Allen.
Nicola Allen, all right. When I returned to work, my mother and Audrey looked after you, and they had a big influence on your life. My mother pushed you miles over footpaths in your Silver Cross buggy, lifting it over stiles until it broke. Then she, of course, wrote to Silver Cross telling them that their buggy was not fit for purpose and demanded a new one. Having taught in primary and secondary schools, my mother took a great interest in your homework and projects, and she helped you from the age of 4 through to your present PhD, and fed you snippets of useful information she had heard on world radio or read in the newspaper. Audrey, who managed to get to the church today, had many talents and was exceptionally good at art and encouraged you from an early age to draw, paint and be creative. Sharon, Emma's stepmom, played a major role in looking after Emma at weekends. Wave your arm, Sharon. Thank you, Sharon. My sister Hilary, wave your arm, who lived in London, looked after you on many occasions and regularly took you to theatres, museums and galleries, introducing you to a multicultural life which we didn't experience in Rochester. Hilary has helped support you throughout your life. Thank you, Hilary. Aged 4, I tipped you out of your pram and leaving Mr. Stripey Teddy behind, you went off to Balfour Infants and Junior Schools, where Tom has been and Ethan is now. When you were 6, Laura was born. She's here eating her roll already. Which added a new dynamic to the family, and we moved to our house in the Ridgeway. Do you remember, Emma, we used to pay you 50p to push Laura around the garden at dinner time so that we could eat with a knife and fork? You all remember that. And, you went on to Fort Pitt, where you met many lovely friends, many of whom are here today. Fort Pitt. And thank you, Hannah, for popping in from New Zealand. Wave your hand. I think you're only here for 2 weeks, aren't you? Aged 11, Emma joined Cobtree Young Farmers. Have you got that one?
Yep.
Where she met Kaylee and Zana, and Kaylee's here today. Kaylee, hi. And spent many happy hours carding and training sheep, and also teamed up with them to do the Duke of Edinburgh Challenge. But that was Kaylee and Zana and not the sheep.
I'm running. This is quite quick.
Age 16, you went with Hilary to Belize and learnt to dive, a sport which you and Carl both enjoy now. At 18, you met your half-brother James, wave your arm, who I'm pleased to say is here today to support you. Thanks to you, James. Following A-levels, you went to Reading to study English literature. In St Patrick's Hall, you also met some drinking pals. I think they're over there.
Guilty over there.
I noticed at the hen night the girls still liked to party, and I believe several were in the sea swimming in the early hours. Put your hands up if you were in the sea. Down here. Well done, girls. After uni, Emma was impatient to leave England and do her year out travelling. You decided to travel by yourself, which I was anxious about. At Heathrow, you said to Trevor and myself gleefully, "See you in 344 days." And that was the time that I cried. Emma didn't. Anyhow, Emma had a brilliant time visiting Fiji, fishing and paragliding in New Zealand, exploring and working in a dive shop in Australia, and doing recreational diving off the coast of Papua New Guinea with family friends. On returning, she thought she'd better get a job and decided to work at Concord International in Canterbury, teaching English to foreign students. Subsequently did an MA in American Literature at Kent University, and is now lecturing part-time at Christchurch Uni whilst doing a PhD at Sussex. Emma, you've made us very proud with all your achievements. Whilst living in Canterbury, Emma and Carl have made some lovely new friends. Who's Canterbury? Canterbury friends. Welcome. And we've met some of Carl's friends at a barbecue in the woods, so welcome today. A few years ago, when Emma was going to the Reading Festival, my mother asked her if she had any protection. Emma looked rather shocked, and Mother produced a hat pin. Emma declined the hat pin, but took up Mother's offer of doing martial arts. At this point, I'd like you to remain seated, but to raise a glass to grannies who cannot be here today, but are with you in spirit.
To grannies.
To grannies. It was at TKO Boxing that Emma met Carl. Carl romantically put a Valentine's card through our door, not quite knowing when Emma was due to return, as she was away travelling in Vietnam and Cambodia. It was some time later, when Emma returned to TKO, that their eyes met over the top of their boxing gloves. The rest is history. Carl, if it wasn't for you, I'm sure Emma may now be living the other side of the globe. So we're grateful to you for keeping her in Kent, at least for the present time. We welcome Carl to the Rose, Spratling, Wilkins family. Please be upstanding for a toast. No. To Emma and Carl. Emma and Carl.
Thank you.
Cheers.
We can drink that.
Yeah, definitely.
You can relax.
Well done.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll now pass you over to Carl Scanlon, the groom.
Thanks for coming.
That's it. I'm over.
That's my job done. Thank you, Joe, and your family. You've done a wonderful job raising such an amazing woman. I'd like to thank you and Trevor especially for organising such a lovely day that means so much to us both.
Thank you.
Oh, shout! Sorry.
There's a microphone.
Let's do it on this board.
Okay.
There's a microphone there.
Sorry.
Thank you both for being warm and welcoming to your lovely family.
Thank you.
Mum and Dad. Mum, thank you for bringing me up to appreciate women that have no limits. And Dad,
No limits at all.
thank you for showing me the value of hard work and determination. I can only hope that our marriage is as successful as yours.
Hey, you're very nice.
Toast to the loved ones that have made us the people we are today.
To loved ones.
Cheers, people.
Thank you. I'll drink to that.
The maid of honour and the bridesmaids, you all look wonderful today. Thank you. As a way of small thanks, we have tokens of our appreciation. So when I can find the box that Ryan has. Just passes the whole box.
Yeah.
Shall I move your plate?
It's quite a few thank you, sorry. Rabbit goes out.
Would you like your box
where
here?
Who hired him?
It's an empty bottle. What do you want?
Laura, thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Carl. This one's out.
Okay, Emily, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Leisha, I wish to spit it. Just come to the front, honey. There you go.
Good girl.
Well done,
Thanks very much. The bridesmaids. Equally, a great thanks to my groom's party, keeping things flowing and making sure that the day runs smoothly. Ish. Kelvin, if you'd like to come up, please.
Carl's brother.
Just a small something. Thank you. And Victor.
Go Victor, go Victor.
And lastly, but no means least, Ryan, my best man. Thanks for keeping me strong. We'd like to thank everyone that made and helped us make this such a personal day. To Laura for making our cake. For Kay for being the photographer. To Jade for helping the girls with their makeup. For Pippa for creating our favours, which mine's disappeared. Thank you very much. To Emma Crouch and Sal for readings in the church. To Gareth for ringing the bells. Amazing. To Victor for musical entertainment.
He hasn't done it yet.
Later it works. I'm hoping if it all works. Fiona and John for creating the backdrops in the photo area over there. Thank you very much. Hannah and Benson for coming so far to be with us today. And finally, all of you for making this our day. So I toast you all. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
Cheers.
Thank you, Carl.
Emma, for a long time in our relationship, I felt I've been punching above my weight.
Yes, you have.
I'm trying to stop telling that. Thank you for loving and caring for me in such a way that I now feel like I can love you as an equal. Thank you for nurturing my weakness and giving me the chance to grow into the proud man that stands before you. Thank you for teaching me the importance of loving yourself before you can truly respect the love for another. And thank you for all the happiness we share.
Thank you.
Please join me in toast everyone to the beautiful bride.
The beautiful
Thank you.
Your beautiful bride.
And unfortunately I've got to hand you over to Ryan. So, I'm going to sit down and hide somewhere. Well, thanks very much.
That was lovely, Carl. Mine's laminated, by the way. Hello, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ryan, and I'm not funny. Well, I am, but I can't tell jokes. Which also... Sally, that's some weird catching. So, alright. I'm also Carl's best man. Thanks, Sally. Which also in turn means I'm his confidant, his shoulder to cry on, his sparring partner, and his co-conspirator. I've known Carl a long time, and in Emma he's found the perfect partner to share his life with. Now, after that beautiful ceremony, and before we get started on the food, because I know that's important, I'd just like to say to the bridesmaids, you all look beautiful today. And, yeah, please clap. And we're all grateful for your support that you've given Emma in the lead up today, and for making sure she showed up 22 minutes late.
Priority, darling. Your priority.
Didn't go like 22 minutes.
Joe and Tina, you both look fantastic today. The mums, by the way, if you didn't know that. And I know how much Carl and Emma appreciate both the way you've welcomed them into their families and all the efforts that you've gone into making today possible. I'd like to start my first one with the mums. I know Carl's done it, but the mums. And Emma, Mrs. Scanlon. The first one to say that. I know everyone in this room will agree with me when I tell you how beautiful you look today and how very lucky Carl is to have you as his new wife. Now I'll move on to the next bit. There are many stories and events that happened over the years. And when you've been friends with someone for over 19 years, there's plenty to share. I found it quite difficult in wording this section of the speech because the main question I asked myself is, how do you embarrass someone in front of his family and friends when he's more than capable of doing it himself? So instead, I'll start with how we first met. It was in Danley Middle School when we had a love-hate relationship right from the start. Mostly because we loved to hate each other. Usually for no other reason than I was a big lump who could throw his weight around and Carl was a small lump who loved a challenge.
Still does.
Then one day, during one of our epic battles, a scrawny ginger kid called Martin decided he wanted to join in by picking a fight with us both. When we then realised just how close we'd become as friends. I was the only one who was allowed to pick on Carl, and Carl was the only one who was allowed to pick on me. And I don't think poor Martin knew what he had let himself for that day. But from then on, Carl and I were partners in crime, and he has been a loyal friend. Aside from loyalty, Carl has many other qualities that will make him an excellent husband. First, he always sees the silver lining in everything. He has a great sense of humour, by which I mean he has a great fondness of practical jokes. There are too many of these to mention, but I have to talk about the time some blue dye almost got him fired from work after an attempt to turn his colleague into a smurf. He also managed to redecorate the shower and half the warehouse. At least life is never dull with Carl around. Plus, when he crosses the line, it's good to know he has an abnormally high pain threshold. In fact, some would say he enjoys pain too much. Because who else would fall in love and marry a woman he met because she punched him in the face? And we're all glad that she did. Second is his curious nature. Carl is full of questions and isn't afraid to experiment. Sorry, mums. Some of my favourite questions over the years from Carl have been, what happens if I wake up my friends with an air horn or a taser? What will happen if Ryan and I split this bottle of absinthe? What happens if I get my nipple pierced? What happens if I get my knob pierced? What happens if I try to pull a wheelie bin full of sand cement through the house? Followed by, how do I get out from underneath this wheelie bin full of sand cement? And of course, the constantly reoccurring, what's the best way to get out of a speeding ticket? No matter what, a life with Carl means you'll always be learning. Finally, he's both thoughtful and creative. After all, he did propose underwater while scuba diving. And I can remember the first time we went diving, he had to pop the lenses out of a broken pair of glasses and glue them onto goggles just so they could see what we were looking at. I guess that covers inventive too. He's usually a man with a plan, and the plan is often, why do the research myself when I can get Ryan to read the book? And then he can just tell me the answer. Now don't feel sorry for me. Carl's been acting as my crash test dummy for years, and whatever we're doing, if Carl survived, I'd have a go. Anyway, that's enough of me going on with stories about Carl, but I'll be at the bar later if you'd like to hear a few more that are a bit Now, as best man, it's tradition for me to offer some marriage advice. So Carl, how do you impress your new wife? Well, easy. Well, you should compliment her, cuddle her, kiss her and caress her. You should love her, stroke her, tease and comfort her. You should protect her, hug her and hold her. You should spend money on her, wine and dine her, listen to her, care for her and stand by her. Above all, you should go to the ends of earth for her. And Emma, how should you impress your new husband? Every now and again, turn up naked with a lasagna. From my experience and that of our fathers, I have top 3 bits of marriage advice. Number 1, turn your alarm off. Number 1, the best way to remember your anniversary is to forget it once. Number 2, I've done it. Number 2, 2.5.
As you found out the other day.
As I found out yesterday. Always get on with your mother-in-law. I've not spoken to my mother-in-law for a few years, not because I don't like her, just because I don't like to interrupt her. And 3, the most important, remember this one, Cole. Always remember those 3 special words and say them every day. Emma, you're right.
Yes.
On a more serious note, Carl, I have to remind you of how lucky you are. You'll be leaving here today with a beautiful wife, someone who's intelligent, thoughtful, warm and caring, and will always put you first. Emma, you will leave here today with a beautiful dress and a bonsai tree. When Carl told me he was going to ask Emma to marry him, I was delighted. And when he asked for me to be his best man, I was honoured. Carl has a lot of friends, but he asked me to do this today, and for that, I thank you, Carl. Now, after all the planning and preparations, they've taken the plunge. And I speak on behalf of everyone in the room, and I wish them all the happiness in the world. And I have no doubt in saying they'll be excellent partners to each other and brilliant additions to their new families. Well, I'll finish up now by wishing you both the best of luck, but I know you won't need it. Could everyone please stand up for me, please? Today marks a day you'll never forget, marked with tears and smiles and not an ounce of regret. Though no journey is perfect, never allow unhappiness to breed. Always have faith in each other, because it's only love that you'll need. Ladies and gentlemen, the bride and groom. Someone has to cry.
You must be full.
Right. Patrick, we ready for dinner?
Well done, Ryan. That was brilliant.
I'm trying so hard not to.
How are we doing? Oh, brilliant. Thanks, guys. Yeah, that's fine. Can you reach? There'll be a bus break. But that's it.